April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and throughout this month, we've been looking at different facets of the issue through the lens of this year's theme, Building Connected Communities. Michelle McCormick is Executive Director of the Kansas Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence. She is here today with Jennifer Ananda, who's Executive Director of the Sexual Abuse and Trauma Care Center in Lawrence. Also, their prevention specialist, Gabby Boyle, is here with us as well. Thank you all for being here, ladies. Okay. And Michelle, this theme of building connected communities, how does that play into the role of sexual violence?
Yeah, we're excited that we've gotten to highlight that there are many different strategies at preventing sexual violence, and some of them have included these individual level strategies, but mostly we've been really focusing on these community level strategies and societal level strategies, including looking at issues like economic justice, access to affordable childcare, and today focusing on access to affordable housing as a strategy actually to prevent sexual violence.
Which is very interesting because you don't think about housing and how that might be linked. So what were you noticing, Jennifer, in Lawrence that had you start diving into this issue?
So our community is very lucky that we got a grant through KDHE that is supported through the CDC to really look at primary prevention strategies within our community. And so we conducted an assessment of our whole community approximately 5 years ago to really identify what the priorities were in the community and what was coming up as far as data where folks were experiencing more insecurity. And so housing was one of our primary focuses that arose through that process.
And I understand, Gabby, you were the one who kind of really dug in and found all of this. What were you seeing was the connection between violence, particularly sexual violence, and having a safe place to call home?
Yeah, absolutely. So for context, when I started this work, it was 2020.
There was a little thing called a pandemic going on.
Yes, you might remember. But what I was hearing from community partners were that the most marginalized folks that they worked with, women, families, people of color, were having a hard time finding housing that worked with things like emergency rental assistance that were being distributed at that time, or housing choice vouchers. And we know from our research into primary prevention that having a safe place to call home is not only a preventative factor, but it also is a keystone of healing. If somebody doesn't have a place where they can feel safe, where they can feel comfortable, where they're not extremely economically burdened or living in inhabitable conditions, like that is the first step in healing, right?
And so the way they were being able to afford that was by getting these grants. So what did you do? What happened in Lawrence as the result of your work to change that?
Yeah, so me, along with our stakeholder coalition, the Sexual Violence Prevention Work Group, we researched and did a lot of education and advocacy surrounding creating protections for source of income, so how someone is paying their rent. And that was adopted as a part of the City of Lawrence's discrimination chapter, meaning that that is now a protected class. So while property managers, landlords can still use their own screening tools when it comes to things like emergency rental assistance, housing choice vouchers, other housing subsidies, even things like mutual aid or funds from a family member, friend, gifts, etc., those legally cannot be a reason to deny someone housing.
And this is in Lawrence. Jennifer, how rare is an ordinance like what Lawrence enacted last year?
So I believe there are a little over 100 communities across the United States that have those. We are the first one in the state of Kansas to have passed an ordinance like this.
And because this was such groundbreaking work that that Gabby did, Michelle, what did you do? And we have the result of that here.
Yeah,
we're going to brag on you, Gabby.
Yeah, the Kansas Coalition found this work to be really innovative, so we nominated Gabby and obviously representing the Care Center and the work of the group in Lawrence for the Visionary Voice Award, which comes from some of our national partners. And so we got to present Gabby with this lovely award for this innovative program and really demonstrating to folks how we can implement these community-based solutions in order to prevent sexual violence. So
absolutely. Have you been getting any inquiries from other communities as far as how this work maybe can be replicated elsewhere?
Yes, definitely. And not just with our housing work, although certainly a lot of communities are interested in how folks in our position in community nonprofits and anti-violence organizations can join the conversation on housing, but in our other primary prevention strategies as well, which is really exciting. I would love to see Kansas become safer for everyone that lives here, and yeah.
Well, we want everyone to feel safe. So if you do need some resources, here are a few things. KCSDV can be reached at kcsdv.org. There's the statewide hotline, 888-363-2287. And if you'd like to reach the Care Center in Lawrence, their 24/7 hotline is 785-843-8988. 8585. Michelle, appreciate all you've done to help open our eyes all throughout this month. Jennifer, Gabby, appreciate the work that you do as well, day in and day out.
Thank
Need
you.
folks
Thank you.
to step up and advocate. We appreciate you. Still ahead